Welcome everyone to a wet Canada for round 7 of the Elite Series. We have 14 races today and this looks like it's going to be a great race. Canada, everyone's favourite, or many people's favourite at least. Always an interesting track, and it can always rain here, and it's clearly raining in qualifying. We'll have to see what's happening in the race. But the races are starting to come out now and get ready for their qualifying session. We've got 16 minutes left. And I dare say a few guys are going to need some cider laps just to make sure that when they do go for that flying lap or that hot lap, that they are able to keep it on the road. Although this is the Elite Series, everyone very experienced in driving in the wet, I have no doubt they'll be able to show us their skills. I think we've mentioned before, many drivers say that the best of the best are shown in the wet. And you can really tell a driver is good when they're in the wet and that they can just go past everyone. And while we're waiting for everyone to do a few outlaps, let's have a look at the standings. We had Monaco last week. And F1 Amazing Hour is still at the top of the standings there on 143. That perfect record no longer intact. Bullet Boy sort of half away behind in the end, but it's really the battle in this Elite Series is from Bullet Boy down to really Eye Contrast, who's a good result, and he's back up into that second, third position. So Bullet Boy, Jumpalainen, Plevs, 40, Pete, Eye Contrast are all in the mix to come second or third and try and keep the heat on F1 Amazing Hour, but I don't see that many people being able to catch him unless he has a few bad tracks coming up, maybe a few retirements, and then you're back in the mix. Could be a bit like the Formula One in the real world at the moment with Hamilton does have a commanding lead, but Ferrari trying to put a little bit of pressure on him. I mean, it's unlikely that he will lose the championship, but you never know what can happen in this game. Let's have a look at the constructor standings, and Alfa Romeo on top, mostly due to F1 Amazing Hours results. Renault holding a commanding second now after Racing Point have dropped back a little bit. Mercedes there in 4th place on 69, and Haas 2 points behind them on 67. So that midfield pack again, very tight, lots to race for here today, and we'll see if the guys are able to push their teams up the ladder. Let's go back to the action now, and we'll see if we can ride on board with a few guys doing some laps. As Eye Contrast, Spilly, they were 2 of the first out, currently doing some laps. I get some telemetry out, most of the telemetry, the lap data. And we still are unsure if it will be raining in the race. You don't really get to see that as a spectator, and I don't want to ruin that surprise anyway. So we're not sure what kind of setup these guys have put on their cars, whether they are just trying to do the fastest that they can in the wet on the dry setup because the race will be dry, or it could even be mixed. So always makes it interesting, as Amazing Hours set the pace here with an 118.5, which is half a second faster than Eye Contrast. Miku a bit behind Eye Contrast, over a second on 120.2, and Andre's done a 121 flat. So I'm sure those times will come down as everyone gets their handle on the weather conditions here. El Tonki, he's back after his hiatus. This is a second or third race back. We'll see what he's able to do in the other Alfa Romeo, being Amazing Hours partner there. And we do have another new racer here, LR Calzo. LR Calzo in the Red Bull. And only one Mercedes today in Pete. Rossi, Chapelele's back. Just good to see 2 Haas on the grid today. And if we can, we might follow someone through a lap. We might follow the new driver in Calzo. He comes across, he's going to be able to set a lap. Coming through this tricky chicane, you really want to get the angle right on this so you don't hit the wall of champions, but you don't want to lose too much speed either. And looks like Plebs has just started his lap. That's right on board with Plebs in the Renault. And see what time he is able to do on this first attempt. He's coming out of turn 2. You really want to come across this curb, not too much on the gas there, otherwise you can lose control. And this one's another tricky one too that you want to use. He's aborted the lap. There's a little bit of spin there. Or it looked like a Red Bull. And maybe just getting used to the conditions. He's not using any ARS, so probably getting ready for a lap here. Hairpin's tricky as well. You got to keep it really tight down into first gear and then quickly up the gears. See, if you don't get on the gas early enough down this straight, you lose a lot of time. It's such a long straight. He's going into the pits. So a few people into the pits now. And with Crossy, he's going for a fast lap, so we'll stay with Crossy here. To get the car as straight as possible to carry as much speed as you can down into the hairpin. That was the detection zone back there, so it is quite far away from the activation zone here in Canada. The detection zone is well before the hairpin. So it gives people an opportunity to really get up the back on the hairpin after already going through the detection zone. And it is a tricky one, it's a little bit different there. Most detection zones are sort of just before a corner or just before, and Crossy's going back in, or just before the activation zone. But not in Canada. What a short lap. And that 1 minute 20 or lower. But a good mixture of high speed corners, low speed corners, and of course this big straight. And it is so tricky because you get that DRS coming into this chicane with the Wall of Champions, and it is really hard to make a move without taking you and the guy who you're trying to pass out of the race. So you need to both sort of be respectful, leave enough room for each other, and I think we'll see a bit of clashing happening at that chicane before the start-finish line. On board with Andre in the Williams. So I dare say everyone's sort of had their cider, and it's dried up. It stopped raining, so we do have jumper line and out on softs. So this is interesting. It's dried up, stopped raining, and the track does look a lot drier. I didn't notice that while I was talking and just sort of following on board, but yeah, it's a lot drier. So will everyone come back in for the softs and see if they can settle out on lap on softs? There is two strategies in this race. The best strategy is the soft, medium, medium if it's going to be dry in the race, and you can keep your lap times up very high. That is still the fastest, but a lot of people, if you're a little inconsistent, it's probably a bit safer to go for the one stopper where you're soft hards or medium hards, because by doing two stops, if you're a bit inconsistent in your lap time, you'll actually lose time by having to do the second stop. So well, it'll be interesting to see what strategies people go on. The undercut can be very powerful here. The softs do drop off very quickly, so if everyone's going to do a two-stopper, the undercut is a powerful thing, and when people come in will be interesting, as Pete just dropped a 116. 116.2. The controller there. And he's done that on softs, so everyone's going to have to come out on softs, because that's 2 seconds faster than Amazing Hours time. So everyone's got to then come back out. They've had a cider on the slippery intermediates, but it's dried up very quickly now, and people have to come back out on softs. Oh, and getting a little bit wild there. Coming out of, what was that, turn 7, is it? Yeah, coming out of turn 7, getting a little wild. Probably still a little bit tricky. I'll follow on board with Pete as he sets his lap. He's just coming in. He'll probably have to try and go for another one. They've got an amazing hour on these softs now. So it's going to be very interesting. I think it's going to get a bit crowded at the end of this. Everyone trying to set a time because no one has really got a good time on the board. Apart from now, Jumper Line sets a 1:15 flat and Spilly's got a 1:15.7. So these times are tumbling now. They're coming down. And a 1:12 for my contrast. So the track is ramping up dramatically. And I think everyone's going to have to go for that last lap, crossing the line just before the timer runs out to get grid position. This has become a very exciting qualifying here as the track just continuously ramps up. Let's see what F1 Amazing Hour is going to... Here, he's going to start his lap now, so he's just using ARS now. We'll stay on board with our series leader as he comes across turn 1, right down into first. Short shifting up the gears quickly to try and get some traction. Doesn't take the apex there in turn 4. And you want to use all that wide track to come in nice and tight. Come out of 7. Don't want to accelerate too quickly or you'll put yourself in the wall there as well. That's what's tricky about Canada. You really need to short shift, keep it smooth. You want to get this nice and straight to get on the power early. Very nicely done. Let's see how tight he can keep it. Oh, very nice. This looks like a good lap. Let's see what time he's able to put in. Al Tonki's put in a 1:12.077 there as well. So he's second at the moment. Getting a nice little lap. But I think these times are still going to get overwritten here. And what amazing hour. I think he may have corner cut and his time didn't count. And that's easy to do here. You can... Probably would have been a good lap. I didn't check the time. Let's stay on board with some of the other guys here. We've got Pete. He's still a little squirrely on the track. Leves hasn't set a time and Shepalele hasn't set a time either. So maybe leaving it to the last minute. A lot of these guys probably going to come in, and there's Miku setting a 1:10. After Crossy set a 1:11, so time still going down. What is going to be the lowest time and the pole time here? I'm not sure because of the varying conditions. Oh, we're on the wrong camera there, but we heard the tire squeal. So track still ramping up. Seconds, literally seconds, dropping off these qualifying times. And we still don't know what the actual race is going to be. I'm hearing the forecast is for rain again tomorrow. We'll wait and see on that. So that could be very interesting if it's raining again during the race. Ooh, lost a bit of wing there. He touched the wall. Lost an end plate. Plus he did. He lost that right hand end plate, Pete. Not a 1.8 though. But he'll have to come in. I don't know if he'll have enough time. Possibly. And Miku. So everyone looks like they'll be coming into the pits, and we're going to get one dash to the line. One final dash. One final lap. And we'll see if they can spread out. And there'll be no funny business. As now we're just going to have to wait a little bit as Jump Alone is still on the track. So we'll wait and see what he is able to do. He's going to stay out there. He's going to try and set his lap now. So he's only got a 1:15. And there's a 1:08. We'll jump a line in as he went across the line. So 1:08.9. I know a few guys can go a bit quicker than this, so but with the track conditions, they might not be able to do that. And everyone's coming up for their laps now as we've got eye contrast starting his lap. What's he going to be able to do? And I'm curious to see if this is the full evolution of the track or not. So he's keeping his ERS at 100%, it looks like. So he may be just trying to get around to do his lap right at the end, getting the full track evolution, all that rubber put onto the track from these softs and the guys going around. Funky's on his out lap. See if we can find someone. What an amazing hour. He's on his lap, so let's stay with him here because this is going to be crucial. If he can't get a good time in here or makes a bit of a mistake, he may have to cut his way through the field if he can't get to the top. So a series leader, what time is he able to do as he comes down the back straight? Hitting that top speed, 127, 120. It's going to be 333 k's an hour. Nicely through the wall of champions, skirting the edge there, and it's going to be a 1:08.7, and LR Calzo goes on pole, 1:08.55. So amazing hour down into third now. John Polanen's finished, he's in fourth. Spilly fifth, Miku sixth. We still have races coming across. So still have some people wanting to do some laps. Amazing hours is going to try and go again. No, he's slowed down. Pete is still going, so Pete wants to improve. He wants to take that pole off El Calzo, the newcomer, just tearing it up on the first time here in the Elite Series in Canada. Let's stay on board with Pete. Is he able to go faster? Plebs and Chapelele still haven't set a time. Let's go down and check them. Let's hit Plebs. He's coming across. What's his time going to be? It's good enough for fourth, a 1:08.7. And Chapelele said his time fifth. Pete, oh, he's hit the wall. That'll cost him. That will cost him. And his pole didn't cost him. What do I know? He was going so hard. The bounce off the wall didn't matter. A 1:08.6. Carzo's finished. That'll be. It looks like El Tonki's taking himself out, trying to get himself higher up on the grid. But that will be the grid for today. Pete on pole. LR Calzo in second on the front row of the grid with him. Amazing hour. We'll start behind Pete on the second row with Plebs. Chapelele, John Polone and the Haas drivers next to each other there. Eye contrast. 7th. Pure Gold 8th. Spilly and Crossy. Miku, Danny D. And then on the back of the grid will be El Tonki and Andre. So, really exciting race coming up here. And let's see what the weather's going to play out for us. Is it going to be a half-half, a full wet, a dry? Always exciting in Canada. As you see the grid there and the gaps. A few people started on mediums, which is going to be interesting. Crossy, Miku, Danny on mediums. Pure Gold on the mediums as well. Andre wasn't able to get a lap in on those other tyres. Which is an interesting decision. Maybe just a bit of problems with the car maybe, or himself. But once we're loaded up, we'll be back for the Canadian Grand Prix, round 7 of the Elite Series. I hope you will join us back after this short intro. So we are back in what appears to be a very sunny Canada today. So that intermittent qualifying mixed up the grid for us, and it's given us a beautiful sunny day. So unless there is a drastic turn in the weather, I think we will have a dry race here as we're going to come out on the formation lap. Heat in pole. LR Calzo, the newcomer, in second on the grid. Is fairly impressive. F1 Amazing Hour and Plebs on that second row. So the race into that first and second corner always can get messy in Canada. We'll see how everyone gets through those first couple of corners. It's such a deceptively tricky track. I mean, I think it's quite easy to go at a reasonable pace around this track, but to really get the most out of the car and put in a real fast time, you have to be right on the edge. Tyres, rear tyres are quite expendable here. That's why we have the soft, medium as tends to be the optimal strategy. And you can lose the rear end quite easily on a few of these high-speed chicanes, or even just really wanting to attack the driver in front of you and accelerate too hard. Can happen. And warming up on the grid now as we come down the back straight. Get those brakes and tyres up to temperature so you have no issues in the first couple of chicanes. There's nothing worse than not quite being up to temperature and not braking where you thought you were going to be able to and taking a front nose off. There's the ghosting going on from the AI that's taken over all of these cars and is going to form them up on the grid. WC40 in the other Red Bull last here. He's joined right at the end in a Red Bull, not in his Renault, so we'll have to take that for what it is. I'm sure his points will be allocated to the Renault. And here we go. Lights are on. 2, 3, 4, 5 lights. And they're out and we're racing in Canada. Everyone looks to get to a good start. As F1 Amazing Hour gets a great start, he's gone on the inside. He's going to take that outside line and the inside into turn 2. Maybe a little bit of touching. Wheel banging between the Haas and the Renault. But they're going okay. And LR Calzo will take the lead. Pete, he's lost out. He's in third now. Oh, and a few people have gone off. Chapalele's gone off. It's chaos down the back here. A lot of people jostling for positions. And Eye Contrast has made up positions. He's done really well. A few people have gone very wide. 40's up 2 spots. Jumpalainen's gone right to the back. What happened to Jumpalainen? Has he got damage? Looks like he possibly does. He's gone right to the back now. He's going to have to come in and pit. That changes his strategy. Are we going to get a Jumpalainen special here? But let's go back to LR Calzo at the front of the grid, getting a great start. Amazing Hour also getting a good start. Pete, he's dropped back a little bit, but he has time, plenty of time in this race, 35 laps to make that back up. Pleb's had a good start as well. He's held his position in 4th. Let's bring up the changes in position here to see who really made position. Pure Gold up 3 spots, so he was one who capitalized on that. Jumpalainen is in the pits. He's come back out on a new set of... No, he's just going in, and they're going to fix his nose. So we kind of missed what happened there. He's going to come out onto the hards. So, a change of strategy. Can he adapt? We go back to the front here. We have a bit of a battle between Eye Contrast and Pure Gold in the middle. He's right up the back, Eye Contrast. Wanting to have a look at him for that 5th place. This will be the last lap before we get DRS opened up. And 40 on the back of El Tonki. He'll want to get past him as well to try and make his way up. Score some valuable points for the Renault team. Even though he's in a Red Bull, he's normally in a Renault. We know that. Plebs and 40 are teammates. And the story here is jump a line and straight to the back of the grid. And what will he be able to do as Eye Contrast is going to make a move as they go into the chicane, wheel banging, and he's had to cut across that chicane. So, not enough room for 2 people. Don't go through that chicane, and I think everyone's got to realize that as Eye Contrast still having a look here. More pressure on Pure Gold, and it's what's happened there is everyone has now caught up to the 2 of them. We've got a huge train here. As Pete has got past Plebs, we missed that battle while we were watching Eye Contrast and Pure Gold go through those chicanes. Apalele just trying to recover. He's gone down 2 spots. Go to this little bit of a train here forming behind Pure Gold. And I can see a lot of moves going to get done here down this back straight. As they everyone is going to have DRS though, because they're all going through that detection point. Is anyone at the top going to have a move? I reckon F1 Amazing Hour. He's got the DRS open. Is he going to have a look into the chicane? Just not quite able to get close enough. Just going to bide his time. And Eye Contrast not going to have another look this time. Just going to stay to the rear gearbox. And Miku has a 3-second time penalty so early in the race with multiple warnings. We've got a yellow flag. We have a yellow flag. What is that? It's Pete. Oh, there's Chaos. Chaos at the front. Pete is off. Who else is off there? Can't tell. There was someone else off with Pete. And we missed that. Maybe a mistake coming into that first corner. And Pete has gone right down. How much damage does he have? We'll have to wait and find out. There was someone else off with him, but we didn't. It was Chapelele. They weren't near each other, so that's very interesting that they've both gone off there. And Chapelele is going to have to come into the pits. Pete, how much does he have damage, or did he just spin? He's gotten past Danny here, so maybe he's just had a spin and he's going to be able to stay out on those softs. As Miku still with Crossy there. And Pete's gotten past, so it's dropped 8 spots, but he's holding position. And Miku right up the back here of Crossy there on those medium tyres. But it's all happening here. He's trying to... It is difficult broadcasting because you're trying to stay with where the battle is, but we did miss that spin from Pete. He hasn't come into the pits, so he must be okay. Chapelele is out. He's retired from the session. He's not going to decide to fight his way back up. Bit disappointing. He started the race. You can still fight your way back. Just would have been an earlier pit stop. He only would have lost like 7 seconds. So they would have had to do an entire lap. So he probably would have lost about 20-25 seconds, to be honest. Still got to fight that way back up. As here we have Pete, Danny D. Let's go back up to the front here. As F1 Amazing Hour is not making up time on LR Calzo here. Only just staying in that DRS range, and Plebs isn't in DRS range, so that's hurting him a little bit. Let's look at the tyres, what everyone's on. So at the back here, 40, he started the race on hards. And Tom's on the mediums. Andre and John Polinen are on the hards as well. So Andre would have started on hards too. Going along. Danny D, 3-second time penalty, multiple warnings. So you don't want to get those penalties can rack up and really adjust the finishing order at the end of the race if you're not careful. As we see the overhead shot. Not a great overhead shot in Canada. There's a lot of trees. Hard to see the cars. And these two are starting to break a gap now. And Plebs has a nice gap to the 4th place iContrast. So iContrast did manage to get that overtake on Pure Gold. And we've got a yellow flag. And it's Miku. Miku has damage. He's going very slow. Not sure what happened there. So maybe he just lost it. Doesn't look like too much damage. So maybe he just lost it and was able to regain control. But he's lost a lot of places there. Sort of at least 4 or 5. And we'll go back up to this little train here behind iContrast. It's Pure Gold. Even though he's been passed, he's managing to stay on the back of iContrast with the help of that DRS. Is he going to have a look? He's really close. Not going to have a look. Sensible through this last chicane. There'll be other opportunities. We're only on lap 7. No need to get silly. Toro Rosso driver, Spilly, still in DRS range as well with Crossy. Then a bit of a gap to Danny. And 40 is on the back of Danny, still making his way through the field on those hard tyres. So he'll be on a 1-stopper. By contrast with the 3-second time penalty. So we'll have to try and keep track of these. 40 with the 3-second time penalty. That won't help him either. So it's so easy to just cut these corners. And the stewards are being extremely strict here today. Handing out penalties willy-nilly. Oh, lock up from iContrast. That's going to give the opportunity to Pure Gold to get right up the back. Really close through the hairpin. We'll stay with these two. Is he going to be close enough to make a move? These softs might be going off for iContrast. Pure Gold on the mediums. We're starting to go for that pit window now. Oh, a bit of moving down the straight. And Pure Gold's got it done. Oh, we've had crash contact. iContrast mustn't have known he was next to him. Oh, and they're smashed. Who's that? Spilly has smashed into Pure Gold. And there's carnage everywhere. I don't think that iContrast knew that he was side by side. He should have been able to see him in his mirrors. They were side by side going into that chicane. And they've taken each other out. And in the process, Spilly is collateral, so a few of these drivers are going to have to try and limp their way back around to the pits. They'll have huge damage. Pure Gold managed to set. It's just giving him a 3-second time penalty, multiple warnings for going across as well. Oh, and so many strategies they've put into chaos now. It's worked out beautifully for 40. He's taken all of those positions. Same with Crossy, but he's 10 seconds behind Plebs. And Spilly struggling with that damage. He hit him fair in the side. He would have huge wing damage. And El Tonki is a benefactor of all that carnage as well. As we're going to see all of these drivers come into the pits. iContrast, he's right at the back. So he's worse off than Pure Gold and Spilly. He came out very poorly in that. As Danny, he's got to come into the pits as well. He must have got tangled up too. As we see Danny in the pits, Spilly in the pits. Plebs is coming in for his normal stop. So hopefully he doesn't get caught up in this. No, he's already on the way out. And iContrast, he's on those mediums. So he's come back out. He must have been able to get into the pits somehow when that carnage happened. So he's hit. He must have hit and then been able to turn his car into the pits without getting too much of a penalty. But that has kind of worked out for him. He'll be able to recover from this. Billy's just come out of the pits now. So a lot of these guys using that as their normal stop. Luckily, they're in that window with the soft tyre coming away and they're able to pit. And it hasn't cost them too much. It would have just cost them a lot of time on the track with that poor wing hanging off the front of these cars. But this has mixed up this race completely. John Paline, and he'll be benefactor of that as well, having to stop early because of his crash. And I'm just looking to see if there's anyone close. So Plebs is coming back at the back of Miku and Andre. We've got a mixture of tyres here. Let's see if we can go to stops. So who has stopped and who hasn't, as our leaders have pitted. And Carlzo and Amazing Hour, they're still very close to each other. Plebs is trying to get past this Williams blockade. Who goes wide there? Is that Miku goes wide? But they're just forming a side-by-side blockade. Plebs can't get past. And these Williams drivers are going at it. As Miku stays ahead of Andre. Plebs, this is costing him so much time. He did have a 10-second gap to the car behind, but that will be closing rapidly. El Tonki is closing up behind as well. So we're getting a bit of a train behind these two. Williams, oh, wide. Andre goes very wide there. Gives Plebs the opportunity. Is he going to make it stick? Down into 7 and 8. He does. He gets past. Not close. I think he was actually in close enough in the detection zone. He's going to have DRS to try and get Miku down this straight. And Miku started on mediums, so he's got 10 lap old mediums, and Plebs are only 1 lap old. Is he going to be close enough? I don't think so, not on this one. As Amazing Hour, that pit stop has not worked out for him at all. He's come out behind Pure Gold. He needs to get past him to keep the pressure on LR Calzo, as Pete gets another penalty warning. Not sure if that's his first or second, but at the moment now, and he's got past him, a nice pass there. Pure Gold didn't put up too much of a battle, maybe realizing that this is not his fight at the moment. And we've got a yellow flag. Is there a crash? Plebs has gone down. Pete is in front. And that may just be people coming out of pit stops. Oh, we've got to move. Andre has been passed by Pete. He's carving his way through there, but he's got ahead of Plebs. Pete has managed to get himself ahead of Plebs. And Plebs must have had, he's falling right back. El Tonki past Plebs. He must have damage. We've missed some contact between the Williams and the Renault driver. And Pete, after that spin at the start, he's back up into 6th now, getting around the Williams drivers. And that means that Miku won't have DRS, and Pete is going to be able to go off into the distance here with the DRS open. A nice move on that hairpin. And because of that, Andre's got past Miku as well. And he's going into the pits. Miku's going into the pits. And 40 is up the back here of Crossy. And LR Calzo's got past both of those. And he is now charging away at the head of the field. And we'll stick with this because we need to see F1 Amazing Hour get past 40 and Crossy. Now, I know 40's on hards. I'm not sure if Crossy's on hards or medium. Looked like mediums there when we saw it. It can be deceptive sometimes. So Crossy might be looking for a pit stop soon, but 40, he's going to stay out there. And he has good defensive tactics. We've seen that in the previous races. Is he going to be able to hold F1 Amazing Hour off? And LR Calzo now has got a 2-second gap. He is storming in the distance, and Amazing Hour would have to be getting frustrated in that helmet of his. He needs to get past to try and catch up. By contrast, another 3-second penalty, so he'll be up to 6. And what's going to happen here? 3 into that chicane does not work, and Amazing Hour still stuck behind both of Crossy and 40. Now 40, he's going to make that move. He's going to make the move at turn 1, and just a bit of elbow grease pushing Crossy off the track a little bit there. That was all fair in love and war. And Amazing Hour's taking advantage of that, and he's got past Crossy as well. So that has worked out beautifully for Amazing Hour. That little squabble at turn 1. And now these 3 have a bit of a gap to Pure Gold. He's 3 seconds behind. Plebs, he's had to come in for a second stop, and that has put him right at the back. Just a really bad time. Maybe we didn't get to see that incident, so we can't comment on it. We'll have to check at the end of the race with Plebs what happened there. We could probably see his onboard. It's amazing how still trying to get past 40. That gap has doubled since the last lap. It's now 4 seconds, and Amazing how does get past 40. Getting a nice slipstream. But that has cost him huge. Those sets of pit stops and getting stuck behind these races. LR Calzo cleared them very quickly. F1 Amazing has taken him at least 2 laps to get past 40. He's put up a good defense there. In the end, had to yield. And now Amazing Hour, the charge is on to try and get that first position. Both of these guys have to stop again. Oh, being on the medium, that two-stop strategy of soft, medium, medium. So he's already starting to catch, actually. He's down to 3.8. So we'll keep track of that. Elsewhere on the track, Eye Contrast and Spilly are having another battle. And we'll see what happens here. Oh, a penalty for Spilly there. But Pure Gold, he's managed to get himself back up in the 5th. Hasn't stopped. And he has stayed out. Well, I think he was in that incident with Eye Contrast. And did he just spin and not get damaged? That's very interesting. Through all of the chaos and people switching, I didn't notice that Pure Gold didn't come in. So it hasn't hurt him too much. I mean, it's hurt him a bit of time because he was clearly stopped in the middle of the track there and Spilly crashed into him, but not too bad. He's in 7th, although everyone's just gone past him. He's pitting now. So he's pitting now and he's going to serve a penalty, and then he's going to come back out on the hard tyre and a new nose. So he must have had damage. He's just decided, even though I have damage, I'm going to stick with this one-stop strategy. That's the best thing I can do here. But he's going to come back out in 13th. With a few of the others needing to stop again, those being El Tonki. He's on softs, interestingly enough, having stopped already. So I'm keen to hear from him after the race as well. His theories behind, because he would have been, might be going medium, soft, medium actually. Now that I think about it. Which is an interesting strategy in itself. You want to use those softs now and really try and make up some ground as Miku. You can see him in the distance. Elsewhere on track, we start. Pete is behind Crossy, but Crossy's dived into the pits, so no one's super close. Spilly and Eye Contrast are still close to each other. We'll follow that for the moment. And I said during qualifying that this chicane is the fun part of Canada. Cars do not go side by side through there very well at all, and it's proven it again with massive carnage in that wall of champions. A few unlucky races to just be the collateral in that damage, but it was a big hit. So this race has not been short of action. We've seen spins, we've seen crashing down near that wall of champions, we've seen a lot of overtaking. And it's amazing how he's not making up ground on LR Calzo now. That gap is at 4 seconds 40. Done so well to get himself back up into 3rd, and he's going to be trying to build that gap so that he can come in and pit. If we have a look at 40 there, the gap he's got, probably he's still going to come out mid-pack when he pits. So he's still got to try and build that up. Yellow flag in sector 2. Someone, doesn't look like anyone's coming off massively, but it looks like Eye Contrast still behind Spilly, and Jompalainen is now in this battle as well. Now remember, Jompalainen had to stop at the start of the race. He had damage from that initial first lap. And let's see if they can get past him. His tyres will be quite old now, probably about 16 laps. 16 lap old hards. He still want to go longer on those hards, but he is right for the picking. Spilly having a look. Oh, and there's contact. There's contact. It's pushed. Pikachu, he's gone straight through the marker there, and I'm not sure if Spilly thought that was a good move. That it was not up right beside him. Getting weird noise there from Jompalainen's onboard camera, but he's lost out now to Eye Contrast as well, and I'm just not sure if that move was there. Really dove down, but couldn't get his car up side by side. I don't know if he wanted Jompalainen just to yield and just let him through or not, but it just didn't seem to be the one. You needed to be a bit closer to go through that chicane. It doesn't seem like anyone's got damage. You just had to take evasive action. And that 4 marker has taken the brunt of the Haas bodywork. And Eye Contrast still will be going after Spilly now. He lost a bit of time through all that as well. Maybe just avoiding damage. And Pure Gold is now coming up to Plebs. So he's pitted. And he'll be going after Plebs at the back there. And the gap between LR Calzo and Amazing is actually bumping out a little bit. So is LR Calzo the White Knight to take the challenge to Amazing Hour in these future races? A very good recruit into the Elite Series. You're seeing these are the top drivers on PS4 battling it out here. As Pete has lost a position to Andre. Possibly those tyres going off as well. This is what makes Canada such an interesting race. So many different tyre strategies. Tyres really take a beating around this track, and when they fall off badly. And because everyone's on different strategies, we're seeing such a great race. Lots of overtaking as we see Danny now take Pete Crichton there as well. Good move coming out of turn 2. Just passed him quite easily there, so he must be struggling with those tyres. John Polito's covered in the pits. That'll be his last stop, I would imagine. And he's got a lot of work to do down there from position 14. El Tonki there in 13th position. Pure Gold is on the back of Plebs. Let's go see this battle because they are very close to each other. Plebs trying to make it back up the grid. He'll be probably going to the end on those hards. And Eye Contrast has made the move on Pete as well as Spilly and Spilly and Eye Contrast, sorry, are very close. And let's see what happens coming down into this. They're side by side. Looks like Eye Contrast has gotten in front, and they're both going into the pits, and they've crashed. They've both gone into the pits without realizing it. Eye Contrast has fallen behind Spilly. That was interesting. I don't think there was huge amounts of damage, but they've both come in. I don't think they realized they were both coming in. He's serving a penalty, so all that jostling for position, he's had to serve a penalty, and Eye Contrast has come out in front of him. Oh, this race has had it all. Crazy racing into the pits there. What would have been amazing is if one of them had wanted to keep going, they would have clashed. Is that the correct line into that chicane? Is coming from the outside to get that good angle, so that could have been very interesting. And they've come out. El Tonki back up into 12th now. He's come out in front of Spilly because of that penalty. Eye Contrast got out in front of El Tonki. So Spilly has to make up some ground now, and he's under pressure from John Polinen, who's going to get the move done. Side by side, he's pushed him wide again. Held the line. That looked fair. And he's held the line, and John Polinen is going to have to come back and make another move, but we'll see what happens around this hairpin. You'll have DRS. Pete, 5-second penalty, speeding in the pit lane. Pete has copped another penalty. And everyone is quite close to each other here, so the penalties are going to really count at the end of the race, I feel, as John Polinen gets that move done against Spilly there. So he's up into 13th, but there's plenty of points up for grabs. 14 races still in this, and the top 10, Eye Contrast, is that 10th car at the moment. Lev's up into 8th, so he's recovering from his incident. And let's go back up to the front here with Amazing Hour. He's lost another second to LR Calzo. They still need to pit again. 40 on that one-stop strategy. Getting it done here. As let's see the stops. So he's still out on those hard tyres. Lap 22. He'll have to come in for those mediums, and he'll try and do. Interested to see when he comes in if he can extend it. If he feels like his pace is good, he might come out onto the softs. It just depends the condition of those tyres, and you've got to balance that from in the car. Like, are you losing so much time that it's just better to come in on the mediums, or can you keep going and you'll gain more time by going on the softs and really attack those drivers you come out in the middle of, as Andre's back in the pits, so he'll drop down. And we do have a close race here between Crossy and Miku, so we'll stick with them as Miku just kicks up a bit of dirt, going wide on the exit there. And Crossy did go very wide on that corner, so that will give Miku a look at him with the DRS. Is he going to try and get the move done into this chicane? Crossy holding the line. Oh, the nose to tail. There's millimeters in it. Is Miku going to try and go round the outside of the hairpin? Let's see. Side by side, right around the outside. He's going to have DRS from that detection zone. And I think Crossy is a sitting duck here. And he's going to try and hold his position. Is Miku going to be in front enough to go into the hairpin? No, I don't think so. Ooh, that was close. Crossy yields the right thing to do there in that position. He knew he was beat. So good driving as Danny comes into the pits. He's coming out onto the mediums. That'll be his last stop of the race. And let's see here where he come out. A few cars have gone past him there. Eye contrast. Andre being another one. Jumped the line and just set the fastest lap of the race. A 1:11 flat on his medium tyres. So he's charging through the field. And he's got a lot of cars in getting distance. They're very gettable. And this could be interesting to see jump line and charge through this field. He's got Danny, Andre, Eye Contrast, Pure Gold, Plebs. They're all within striking distance here. And Miku's still battling with Crossy there. Has Crossy got back in front? He has. We missed that. Sorry, apologies. And Miku's going to have to do it all over again. Good battle between these two. This is giving Plebs a little bit of time to catch up though. As F1 Amazing Hour, he's trying the undercut, so he stopped. And let's see what he can do. Coming out, he's trying the undercut. He's going to have to try something. 5 seconds was a big gap. Can he put in some stonking laps here? And I wonder if El Alcázar's noticed that he has stopped. And will he try and cover that off? Still out on the track here, just going through the hairpin. Let's see if he comes into the pits to try and cover off Amazing Hour, or will he just keep going, knowing that he has that 5-second gap and he can use the fresher tyres near the end of the race. Coming up to back markers, so it might be a better idea to come in. He stays out. So he's going to have to battle through the traffic. Sticking to his strategy here. Doesn't want to cover off an Amazing Hour, but I feel like for every lap that he stays out here, Amazing Hour is going to try and get that undercut to work. Let's see what laps he's doing. As he comes through, he's going to drop in a 1:11.4. So not the fastest lap, but a very fast lap. Considering. And rest of the field, we've still got Crossy very close with Miku still. And further down, Plebs, Eye Contrast, and Andre battling it out. Let's see that as we see 3 chains. Oh, someone clipped the wall back there. I think it was Andre. We saw it in the background. Get a little clip of the wall. And we've got a pass here. Andre, oh, they've touched. Danny's touched. Is there going to be consequence because of that? No, I think it's just a little bit of wheel banging into the side. They're so easy to lose it if you do touch the side of a car, and he's managed to keep hold of it. But Andre will hold that position. Danny and John Polainen, he wants to get past these two to take it to the next group of 3 further up the track. And so he'll want to get that done as soon as possible. And 40, he stopped and managed to stay out in 3rd. So he's done an amazing job from the back of the field. We talked about this on the podcast, using alternate strategies when things haven't gone well for you in qualifying. 40 didn't even take his position in qualifying. So he's managed to get himself up on the podium at the moment, starting from the back of the grid, keeping himself out of trouble when all the carnage has gone on around him. And John Blind to take that position because Danny's come into the pits. Must have got damage from that little overtake. No, Danny stayed out. He's just got past him. Who went into the pits? Miku went into the pits. Apologies there. Got a little confused with what I was seeing. And John Polainen, he's taken one there. Who's next? Andre. And he take him as well and then start that quest after Plebs. He's about 3 seconds up the road. Behind Eye Contrast and Pure Gold. A little battle going on here between the three of them. I mean, 40. He's done so well there. He's 12 seconds behind Amazing Hour. So, LR Carlzo, through all that, has stopped. And Amazing Hour is only half a second behind. Let's stay with these front runners. And is Amazing Hour going to be able to get LR Carlzo? That undercut has worked out perfectly for him. He's made up 4.5 seconds and he's just dropped a fastest lap of 1:10.8. LR Carlzo will be trying to get those tyres up to optimal zone so he can hold off this challenge, and the pressure is right on here. First race in the Elite Series. Can he hold off Amazing Hour? Oh, Amazing Hour's just got a 3-second time penalty. That is going to hurt. I don't know how many LR Carlzo's has, but that is definitely going to hurt him. I'll stick with this one for the moment as LR Carlzo's managing to get that gap away a little bit. The DRS is going to help Amazing Hour stay involved. I contrast another one. He's up to 9 seconds, I believe, which is going to hurt a lot because we're at lap 27 out of 33, and behind him he has a bit of a train, and John Polainen is storming after them. He was 3 seconds behind Plebs. He's got past Andre and he's only 1.7 seconds behind Plebs now. So High Contrast is holding a few of these guys up. Or is it Crossy? It's actually Crossy who might be holding them up. As LR Carlzo says, I see your fastest lap and I raise you a 1:10.6 on Amazing Hour. And I think he's going to get out of DRS range here, which is going to be great for him. Let's go down to this battle. High Contrast after Crossy. And Pure Gold's dropped off a little bit there, and he's without DRS, he's going to fall into the clutches of the Renault. And Plebs might be looking for a move here. Such a close race. This has been an excellent race. Probably race of the season, I feel. There's been so much action. Spilly gets a penalty. So much action all over the track. I haven't been able to keep track of it all. I almost need split screen and more cameras to just stay with all of these drivers and find out what's going on. Because of that, we've missed a few crashes. But John Polainen buys it down. Danger zone going through the speaker set in his helmet. I have no doubt because he is after these guys. He's within DRS of Plebs. We've got a yellow flag. Pure Gold, he's had damage. What has happened there with Pure Gold? Rossi's got a 5-second penalty for collision with Pure Gold. High Contrast takes advantage of that. Oh, we missed what happened there. It was just in the road in front of us. And Crossy is in all sorts. I missed that incident. We're going to stick here with Plebs and John Polainen, as John Polainen has come up to 6 now. So it's such a great fight back from John Polainen after such a big setback in the first lap. He's managed his strategy well, cleanly raced past everyone. And he is after Plebs here. And I don't know if Plebs is going to have the tyres on those hards to hold him off. John Polainen on the mediums. Such an advantage around Canada. And then he's got 3 seconds after Eye Contrast and 40. Such a nice gap he's managed to afford himself there with the one-stop strategy. 13 seconds ahead of Eye Contrast. As Crossy comes into the pits, fixing up that damage, and he's gone right to the back of the field. Pete is also right at the back. I'm not sure what happened there to force him right to the back, but he has had a shocker. So good in qualifying, Pete, all the time. He's just had a little bit of unlucky racing around him. It's cost him in some races. As John Polainen gets the move done very, very smoothly past Plebs. I don't think Plebs had the tyres to fight that one off. Whereas John Polainen, surely he has got the fire lit underneath the engine of that Haas, making it work for him. And he'll be after Eye Contrast now, who's done the 2-stopper. Spilly, another penalty. Now these penalties, the way this race has panned out, they're going to be important here. If someone has kept themselves nice and clean, they are going to be able to move up positions because so many people have penalties, but everyone is so close to each other after sort of third. Like there's first and second. So LL Calzo has managed to pull away from Amazing out 3 seconds now. But then you got 40 by himself on the track. And then you've got fourth right down to sort of Spilly there in 10th. All very close to each other. And this is going to jumble it up at the end of the race. All these penalties. Jump the line in 2.9 seconds behind our contrast. He's got 4 laps. 4 laps to catch the Ferrari. Who's done very well. There's a lot of good stories in this race of people who's had contact, there's been crashing, and people have managed to fight and claw their way back up. It's where Chapelele, if he had stayed in the race, he really could have made up ground and got some points. A bit disappointing there as we see a lot of rubber. A lot of those little balls coming off the tyres. Lovely effects in this F1 race. They've really done that nicely. It's the little things that make this game so pretty at the moment, as the Ferrari managing to hold his own against John Polainen, so he might be able to just hold it here till the end of the race. Fuel Gold sets a 1:10.2 on the softs, not in the top 10 at the moment, so that's not going to get him an extra point as Miku gets another 3-second time penalty. But John Polainen isn't making up ground on the Ferrari in high contrast. But how about this guy in the Red Bull here? 40. Now, his points will count for Renault. He's had to drive a Red Bull just because he joined late. And what about a race from this guy? Started last on the hards. Went for the one stop. The alternate strategy. And Plebs and I spoke about it in the podcast. You do something different, and it may get you right up into the front and even on the podium. And that's what's happened for 40 here. We've seen it a few times with John Polainen as well. Do something different. Don't do what everyone else is doing. As Danny Rick's helmet says, don't be them. And you will get yourself up the grid. And yeah, Jenson Button was the masterclass of this. Is what is everyone else doing? I'm going to do the opposite of that. And when it worked out in his favour, he looked like a complete genius. Sometimes it didn't work out for him, but a lot of the time it got him podiums and race wins when he really had no right. Just from doing the opposite of what everyone else is doing and taking advantage of some carnage. As John Polainen is down to 2.4. Only 2 laps left though. I don't know if I'll be able to pull that one back. Is there anyone else in the race who's going to be able to challenge? Not that I can see. Danny is only a second behind Plebs, but everyone's out of DRS at the moment. Although Danny is just making out. He was in DRS when he went over to the activation zone. As Pete drops a 1:10.2 on those softs, so he's got the fastest lap, but he's in 14th and won't get that point. So Danny charging after Plebs. Let's stick with this one. This looks like the last battle of the race here. The McLaren of Danny chasing the Renault of Plebs. And what can this orange lightning car do right at the end of this race? Of course, we've just heard that 2021 onwards, the McLarens are going to go back and take the Mercedes engine. Something's happened there with Renault. And now Renault aren't supplying anyone, which is a huge blow to them. Unless they can find someone to supply engines to, they're in trouble. That's a good income source for them. Tonki, a 3-second time penalty. He's in 12th there. Fuel Gold 10 seconds behind Spilly. Danny. DRS will be open. 0.4 seconds behind Plebs. Can Plebs hold him off until the end of the race and score that 6 position points? It's going to make a move. Danny's going to go for it. No, slots back in behind Plebs. And we have 2 laps left here. 2 laps to get it done. He's going to try and make a move. He's going to make a move into turn 1. Plebs holds the inside line. And they go wheel by wheel around turn 2. Gives him enough room. Very polite racing from Plebs. He could have really squeezed him off there. And he's going to hold it down the hill. And he slots back in. Danny, civilized racing between those two. Probably a little too civilized. Gave each other a lot of room. Clearly don't want to throw away points here, but still want to Still want to finish a bit higher up. And everything else looks like, although jumper line in 1.5, he's gained a second, but unfortunately he's going to be, oh, Danny, he just copped a penalty on that. We saw him go over the curb and he's got the 3-second time penalty. That'll help Plebs out immensely. I don't think, I haven't seen Plebs' name popped up. He might have a 3-second time penalty. As Pete gets another one as well. He's just pushing now right at the back of the grid. Now, Ella Calzo, I haven't seen his name pop up much, so I don't think he's under threat from losing the Grand Prix from penalties. But there is going to be a lot of discussion after this race. A few heated words maybe in terms of people making some bold moves in a couple of unrealistic positions. I mean, it's such a tough track to overtake on because the overtaking opportunities are through chicanes that two cars don't go side by side through without someone losing out, and often losing out causes contact. This Plebs still battling, still holding him off. As Ella Calzo crosses the line, debut with the win. Amazing hour second. Let's stay with this battle between Plebs and Danny right to the end of this race. 40's going to get himself on the podium. Well done. Great race from him. Is Danny going to be within DRS to get a move done? Let's find out. By contrast to jumper line and a very close. Not close enough. And oh, it's going to come right down to the line. Is he going to get it done? Oh, so close. Plebs holds the position. Plebs actually jumps by contrast. And Miku has jumped Danny. See, these penalties I spoke about during the race, they're coming in here. Plebs has managed to finish 5th now. Jumper line up to 4th. High contrast lost out 2 places there because of the penalties he's taking. So amazing. 40 last to podium. Fantastic drive there. Not an exciting drive. It's super consistent. Good strategy. Give him my driver of the day. That is an outstanding effort. Staying out of trouble, which is half the battle in Canada. Staying out of trouble. Don't get hit. Don't hit other people. And then stay within the limits of the track so that you don't get penalties. And a lot of people have taken the wrath of the penalties. As we see the Red Bull driver, Alzo, taking the win in Canada. And 40, in his disguise overalls, he's really a Renault driver. Alright, that's the end of the race, guys. Thanks again for joining me here on Sunday Elite Racing at Spec Esports. I hope you really enjoyed the race. I certainly did. It was amazing. There was overtaking everywhere. There was crashes. There was a battle at the front. And really good racing from everyone. Join me next week when we go to France, I believe, which should be interesting as well. Flowing track, but you can be aggressive there because there's no walls in France, apparently. Alright, I'll see you guys next week. Thanks for joining me again.